So following the release of the August update for Battlefield 2042, I thought I would jump back in, seeing as there was a map rework being released, as well as the reworking of a couple of specialists now, not how they function, but rather how they look. So I thought I would give 2042 a try again. So it actually took me a lot of time to get into Kaleidoscope. I kept getting put into the same maps over and over, which is a gripe I'll get to later in the video. So I did finally get into a single match of Kaleidoscope, and I can't say that I noticed a whole lot of change in the overall flow of the match, even with all of the new added cover. I did only play it once, but it's just added cover. It doesn't change the overall map design of Kaleidoscope, and I don't think it has the same impact that people thought it would have, or that the dev team thought that it would have. It's still the same core. The map is still the same at its core. It just now has some more cover. So I found that the overall match flow was similar to what it was before, which in my opinion was pretty poor. There are also quite a few balance changes in this update and a couple of quality of life improvements. There'll be a link in the description if you want to go and check the patch notes for yourselves. I'm not going to go through them. I just wanted to give my take and opinion on Battlefield 2042 as it stands right now with the latest August update. Something else of note before I forget that was added is a stats page. You can now go check your stats. Yeah, in the game. Who would have thought? I mean, it's just the pace at which they're releasing features that I would consider basic features that should come when the game is launched. Take like, what, this is 10 months now? 11 months? No, 10 months since the game launched, a little bit more. And we are now just getting stuff like a stats page within the game itself, as to where before we had to go onto a third-party website to see what our stats looks like. And there's some bugs that have come back that were supposed to be fixed a long time ago. And one that really annoyed me more than anything else is not being able to ADS with the SFAR after exiting a vehicle due to the underbarrel launcher. So this bug was supposed to have been fixed a couple of months ago, and now it's here again. I just don't... I understand that game development and all this can be difficult, but damn, I mean, for the longest time, you couldn't use the SFAR. It was basically unusable because you couldn't ADS after exiting a vehicle. And now we're back in the same boat. You can't ADS with SFAR after exiting a vehicle. So there's all these annoyances that are coming back up. Mouse input is still a mess. The dev team have spoken about this and say they are aware that mouse input is not how it should be. But I mean, we're 10 months in at the first-person shooter's life cycle, and we still have input issues that should have never been there at the start. I'm obviously not an expert on game development on the Frostbite engine. I would have to imagine it's something deep within the engine that is ruining mouse input, but shit like this should have been addressed prior to launching the game. Now, I did have some fun in 2042 in the couple of hours I spent with the game, but mostly because I had just unlocked the Ghostmaker R10, so I used that for a little bit, and it's quite a lot of fun to use, but there's still not a whole lot of meat to the game. There's still very little content, very few weapons to use. There's not a whole lot going on. There's a lot of things that I want to be able to do that I can still not do to this day in 2042, such as, but not limited to, managing my squad how I see fit. You still cannot manage your own squad. If you have a player that is disrupting your squad's play, you cannot kick them. You have to reform an entire squad, and even then, the people that you were in the squad with cannot just join your squad. You just randomly join squads that have empty spots in them until hopefully you get into the squad you want to be in. So these are just oversights that are, like, in my opinion, unacceptable. It's just, it doesn't make sense, and these are things that I think will never actually make it into 2042. You still can't play with more than 3 friends. Granted, I don't think I have a single friend playing this game right now, but if it had been a good game at launch, and at launch, I did want to play with more than 3 friends, and you had to go through these hoops to be able to play with each other. So you have to make a squad. That squad join the server, one person leave that squad, invite the other person so the other person could load back in, and even then it didn't work 100% of the time. These are things that you should be able to do in a multiplayer only game. Play with more than 3 friends and be able to easily join friends' games without having to jump through all these hoops. Now, I can already hear people, well, you can go play Portal. Portal is so poorly used and poorly executed feature that it's sad. They put all this work into this system and it's so underutilized. You can go in Portal, there's not a whole lot happening. One of the biggest gripes I have with Portal, there's no persistent servers, so you can just make a server, and if it happens to get empty, then it just disappears and you have to create it again. It's so against building up a community compared to past Battlefield titles that, yeah, it's just saddening to see. I still can't choose which maps I want or do not want to play. I swear, in the 5 hours that I've played since yesterday, I have gotten discarded probably 50% of the time. And even if you leave and rejoin, you get put back pretty much into the same match over and over again. And it's just, I can't even play the game how I want to play it. I'm forced to play in maps that granted, Discarded is probably one of the better maps. I don't want to play it over and over again. It's not that good. Sometimes I want to try something else, or I want to play Exodus Conquest and play on old maps, but I get put into Discarded again. And there's just all these things that are just missing from the game. They're just, and it's almost a year now. In 3 months, it'll be a year since the game launched, and I can't see these features making it into the game by that time. And yeah, like I played a couple of hours, I had some fun with the R10, but that's about it, and that's where I draw the line. I don't think I'm going to be playing more until Season 2 drops with the one new map that they're going to have, and we're still waiting on portal weapons to be added to All Out Warfare like they said when Season 1 launched. We're still waiting on the feedback loop with the specialist rework and what they're doing with that, and that happened a long time ago. They were supposed to keep us updated and have a constant feedback loop on how they're reworking the specialists, and they said it would be a few weeks, and we have yet to get any information on anything about the specialist rework, save the just facial features of some of the specialists and how some of them look a little bit more gritty now. But that's really it. There's just, honestly, as a fan of the Battlefield franchise, there's not a whole lot keeping me playing 2042 right now. There's just so many things that are missing from past titles that you come to expect from such a large studio with such a big budget for these games. And yeah, I don't know. It was a step in the right direction, but we're so far behind other titles at this point that if they keep doing steps in the right direction at such a slow pace, I can't see the game ever catching up to its predecessors before they launch the next title. And I don't believe when they say that most of the people are still working on 2042. I realize that developing stuff like this takes time, but with how much resources they have, I don't understand how it's taking this much time if, as they say, they have most of the staff still working on it, unless they had like an inordinate amount of contract workers on 2042 at the time, and now that staff is obviously not there anymore because their contracts are usually up until the launch of the game, and then they would only have the internal staff working. But even then, these changes are taking far too long. It took, what, 6 months, or no, maybe a little bit less, like 5 months for a single map rework, and by rework, they mostly just added cover. So how long is it going to take to rework all the other maps? I don't know. But yeah, that's my take on the August update for 2042 and the state of things as it stands right now. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, that is completely fine. This is just a very subjective opinion on my take with 2042. But yeah, I've been rambling for far too long already. Let me know what you think about the August update for 2042 in the comment section down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.